So I defended the Westbrook to the Lakers move because they're old and they need minutes. But I think it's unrealistic to expect him to be the vital, crucial playoff performer. Could I not argue what you saw last night is kind of what the team is? They may get better, but we may be a little high on the aspirations of an old roster, an old bench, and a little bit of a weird chemistry fit with Westbrook.
Well, listen, I don't think the Lakers' biggest issue last night was Russ, because Russ obviously will be better than he was yesterday. 8 points, as many turnovers as assists. He'll be better than that. The Lakers' issue last night is they have made a decided trade-off. They are trading off shooting for defense and size, ostensibly. And they got none of the defense yesterday. Yeah. I mean, they allowed the Warriors to score 121, and Steph was bad. Steph was 5 of 21 from the field. And the reason last night's Lakers game was concerning to me, Colin, is LeBron hit 12 jump shots. Games where LeBron is hot from the field, he's supposed to score 40, 45, and they're supposed to win easily. The reason that didn't happen is because he got one basket at the rim, and it was a transition dunk. He got nothing at the rim in the half court. Why? Because DeAndre Jordan's out there for no reason. Or Dwight Howard's out there for no reason. And then you add to it, no one's guarding Russell Westbrook, so his man is drawn in. And LeBron all of a sudden is the best three-point shooter on the court, which shouldn't happen.
Right.
So I don't love the makeup of the roster unless it's going to be the number one defense in basketball. It was far from it yesterday. So, yeah, I think they're going to struggle a lot early in the season in particular. I also think they're the best bet to come out of the West because if LeBron's healthy and AD's healthy, they'll be the best team in the West. But I think it's a flawed roster right now, Colin.
And let's transition to the East. You and I were talking during the break, is if you start looking at sort of the architecture of the Brooklyn Nets. So Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge made their money because of their offense. Joe Harris, all offense. James Harden, all offense. Kyrie back is all offense. KD makes a good defensive effort, but he's not a rim protector. In the end, this is an offensive roster with no real. Yes. Patty Mills is about offense. And when you look at Milwaukee, yes. By the way, you can win a lot of games in this league with that kind of offense. That I'm not disputing. But their fatal flaw and the kind of team they can't beat may very well be Milwaukee, which, by the way, plays with incredible passion and energy, is physical, can hit threes as well. And I just looked at it last night and I thought, this roster in Brooklyn, it's not really built in a 7-game series to beat Milwaukee. I don't think I'm hyperventilating here. I just think it's like I watched it and I thought, they're not going to beat Milwaukee in a 7-game series.
I agree 1,000%. I don't think they are close to Milwaukee right now, and that's the team they have to get through. So think about this. If you're Brooklyn, KD played really well. Patty Mills was 7 of 7 from 3.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday went out in the first half and didn't come back, hurt his heel. Giannis had a really good game, but almost what you expect him to average this year. And you got dog walked. You got beat by 23 points. What's changing? You're not going to get bigger. You're not going to get better defensively. The Lakers, the reason I think they can get better defensively is they have Anthony Davis. They have size. They were the number one defense in basketball last year. Brooklyn was terrible defensively last year. You're not going to get better defensively. And I know nobody likes to talk about it because the whole media loves the guy. But Steve Nash, we have no evidence whatsoever that Steve Nash knows what he's doing. None. They punted on the 1 seed last year, which very well might have cost them the title. His adjustment in the postseason was, KD, play all 48 minutes, please. So I don't know that they can lean on the coach. I don't love their bench. They're like, we added Paul Millsap and LaMarcus Aldridge. Huh? Patty Mills is a good acquisition, but like you said, he adds to what they're already good at, even though he's more valuable now that Kyrie's out. I don't think Brooklyn is this juggernaut that Vegas thinks they are. I think Durant is spectacular. I also think something interesting to watch. Harden yesterday had a mini explosion in the second quarter where he hit 3 straight threes.
Yep.
Other than that, he was, I think, 3 of 13 from the field and had 11 points. The league changed that rule. They might have wanted to call it the Trae Young rule, but it could have also been the James Harden rule about flailing and moving, unnatural movements to get calls. James Harden, who shoots free throws at a higher rate than any wing player in the history of basketball, took 4 free throws yesterday. That's something to watch because they need Harden to be an MVP level player along with KD to be an MVP level player. Harden's obviously a great player, but he and Trae and Steph a little bit are going to have to adjust their games more than anybody. If I'm the Nets, there's a lot of things that really concern me, especially because you have no answer for Giannis, who's the best player in the world.
So, as I said last week, and you made a good point, is that the Kansas City Chiefs still aren't punting. And so, there are certain stats in football that are what the bettors call random stats, is that there's nobody to blame. And one of those is like fumbles. Some years you fumble a lot, some years you don't. Turnovers can be kind of random. So as I watched the Chiefs this weekend, I think their defense is limited. I was really engaged with their offense, and I thought, once they get out of the turnover sprees, they're fine. I did think this, when I looked this weekend, I thought Kansas City will be fine. The issue, though, still remains, this is not a franchise hoping for fine. This is a franchise now with Mahomes. Correct. This is a Super Bowl franchise. I don't think defensively they're good enough. But tell me your current state, your current opinion on your beloved Chiefs, because they did when they cut the turnovers down, they looked pretty good.
And they pitched a shutout, granted against Taylor Heineke in the second half. I think that the Chiefs have the best offense in the NFL. I know, and I do see your tweets. I know you are in love once again with the Buffalo Bills.
I am.
I turned that game off a little early. I can't imagine it ended with your betrothed Josh Allen literally falling on his face, because that would be so embarrassing for you if the Bills could have gotten a victory and instead Josh Allen just fell on his face. But I think that's what happened. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to check. I think the Chiefs have the best offense in the sport by a wide margin. They're turning the ball over at the level of the Jags, and despite that, they score more and more often and more efficiently than anybody. I don't think anyone believes they're going to continue to average 2+ turnovers a game. It's not who Mahomes has been in his career. It's not who the Chiefs have been. So what you have is the offense is operating at this level, and it's going to get theoretically better because the turnovers will come down. The defense was so bad early, it almost had to get better by definition, just natural regression. Plus, should be noted, their best defensive player, Chris Jones, has been out of the lineup for a few weeks. He'll be back. I just look at the AFC. I thought the Chargers and Bills both looked awesome. And then they both had really terrible losses this week. We saw the Chiefs play Baltimore. That game came down to a fumble at the end, or else the Chiefs win. I just think it's a foolish bet right now to act like there's that when it really comes down to it. Is there anyone in the AFC in the playoffs you're going to take over Mahomes? I know for you, he's like fourth in the AFC quarterback hierarchy. It's like Allen, Herbert, Lamar. We'll see how Case plays tomorrow. Maybe you elevate him. But I'm going to go with Mahomes still to come out of the AFC.
Yeah, no, I still think the Chiefs win the division. Some people say I've been very hard on Baker. I see it as America's honesty broker, is basically how I brand this show. Case Keenum should start tomorrow because there's no reason to risk Baker Mayfield. The next 4 games after this are New England and Detroit and Cincinnati, and they'll win those games. Pittsburgh's not a playoff team. But let me ask you, because I think we both privately would love to be general managers. You of an NBA team, me of an NFL team. It's like it's our goal, right? Like we would love to eventually do it if somebody kicked us out of this business. But let's put the hat on now. You would be an NFL GM. From what you've seen through 52 starts, be totally honest with me, knowing what the AFC has at the high end at quarterback, would you re-sign Baker Mayfield after the season? Would you give him an extension?
No.
You wouldn't either.
No. And I like Baker. No, I wouldn't cut him. I wouldn't trade him. But I need to see more growth than I've seen. I wouldn't re-sign him right now. You said after the season. Let me see how the next 10 weeks play out. I need to see him level up one. Or else I would fear, I think you can get to a Super Bowl, maybe even win a Super Bowl with Baker Mayfield at his current level. But you've got to have, and this isn't, hoeing new ground here, but you've got to have this great roster around him because he is somewhat limited.
Yes.
And you're not going to be able to have as great of a roster once you pay him. So I would need to see him elevate, especially because of the conference he's in. Because Mahomes, Lamar, Herbert, Allen, those four are already better than him. And Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence, at some point, I would imagine, are coming for him. So if you have the 7th best quarterback in your own conference, it makes you nervous if you are paying him top flight money. But since I was very honest there, and I know it's your show, I'm going to ask you to be very honest here to the audience, to me, and most importantly to Joy. Because I'm not going to be able to come to L.A. to watch this game with you. But you are going to be rooting for Case Keenum to throw for 370 yards like he was your second son, right? Nothing is going to excite you more than if Case Keenum lights the world on fire tomorrow night. Right, Colin?
Certainly speculation I'm not comfortable addressing, but it is, I think it would be dramatic and fun to discuss the following day. How's that?
Oh, okay. Just rooting for what's interesting. You're just in the interesting business. Yeah. I forget.
All right, Nick Wright. Great seeing you. Great NBA opening night. Thanks, buddy. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.